G'day folks, Connor here from CW's Tech Reviews, back with another video, and today we're doing my top 5 smartphone photography tips. We're doing this with an Oppo phone, so hit that like button and a subscribe button, and let's get stuck into the video. Let's go. Now when I first started doing photography, I had no idea about these 5 simple tips. And my first tip is a really basic one, and it's the rule of thirds. So turn your grid lines on in your smartphone. Now most smartphones will have an option in your camera settings to be able to turn on grid lines. And if you don't know what I mean, this is what I'm talking about. It just simply divides your screen into 9. And you want your leading lines or your main subject points to be on one of these lines. Now, every photography rule is meant to be broken, and there's a million amazing photos out there where rules are broken, but these are the basic ones to get us all started. So your rule of thirds, and here's an example here. Now this photo I took down at the local park. The first one, nothing is sort of following any sort of rule of third, and it looks pretty bland, it looks a little bit uninviting. So I just basically lined up the trees and this pathway here with the lines in your rule of thirds. And it just gives you a little bit more to the photo. Instead of it just being a bland photo, it sort of makes you want to lead around the pathway to see what's around the corner. Whereas in the first image where I wasn't following the rule of thirds, you can see that it's just quite bland and doesn't really lead anywhere. And just moving a few feet and lining up my composition a little bit differently gave me a better photo. Now my second tip is one that is, I see people doing this all the time, and that's zooming digitally. Now, I don't really care if your phone, like the new Samsung one, has 100 times digital zoom on it. If you zoom in 100 times and take a photo, you need a bitch slap, because it's a stupid idea and you shouldn't be doing it. Here's an example. I'm sitting on my back patio. There's a nice pot plant with a nice pretty pink flower right in the middle of it. I'm sitting there, I take the photo, and it looks unappealing. It doesn't look that good. But if I zoom in with my feet, so I get up and I move closer to the subject, all of a sudden the image is brighter. The background blur is has much more impact. It's called bokeh, and there's a lot more bokeh. It just looks more dynamic, more appealing. It's brighter. Everything about it looks better. And that's because I didn't digitally zoom. And here I will show you, once I've taken the photo, I'll digitally zoom in, and you can see it just doesn't compare to a photo of where you actually zoom in and get closer to the subject yourself. So stay away. Don't do that whole pinch and zoom thing on your screen. Cut that out of your smartphone photography tips, because that's not a tip. Zoom with your feet. Got it? Zoom with your feet. Now my next one is actually use your focus. People pick up their smartphone, they point it at what they want to take a photo of, and they press the shutter. Now the smartphone is just going to hunt for the closest thing it can find to take the photo. You need to tap on what you want to focus on before you take the photo. And again, examples. Here's an example. I was out at a local dam and there was this pole there, and I wanted to focus on the center of the pole, and I did so, and it gave more to the photo. Again, you can still see what the surroundings are. It looks quite pleasant. But again, there's that background blur is all of a sudden comes into play, and it gives more depth to the photo, and the focus point is on the screw. Now, when I did not try and focus on the screw, I just pointed the camera at the screw, it didn't focus on it. It focused on the background. And then the photo loses what it had when it actually had a focal point. So you want to use that focus, but you want to tap to focus. If you have manual focus on your camera, on your smartphone, I suggest you use it. Now you're not going to always want to use it, but for photography it can come in really handy. The autofocus is really good on your smartphones, and I think these 2 photos really demonstrate that. Oh, I need a good cup of coffee. Oh. And my 4th rule, get out of your shoulder height shots. Don't just stand there at shoulder height and take photos of everything around you. You want to change your levels. Now, here's an example of my daughter riding her bike. She was learning to ride a bike with no training wheels. I took one with me standing at my normal height, focusing down on her bike riding towards me. But if I get down on her level, focus in on her as she's riding past, all of a sudden she looks larger than life. You can really see the action in her movement, and it's because I changed my levels. I got down low, I got in closer to her, I focused on her. So I applied a number of tips to this photo, but the main one was that I got onto a different level. I got down onto her level and took a photo of her. And when she saw that photo, her eyes lit up. She loved it because, like I said, she looks larger than life. She's riding past. You can see there's no training wheels, and she's just having a great time. And that photo is a great photo for her and a great photo for me. So change your levels, mix them up. You want to get that good picture. Don't just stand there like everyone else. Mix it up. Now my final tip, my 5th tip for you all, isn't to do with taking the photo. It's to do with editing your photos, and I think you should edit your photos. Now when I first started in photography, I thought that editing my photos was cheating, and I felt really icky about doing it. And I was told pretty quickly that I had to get over that. And here is an example of a photo that's been edited and fairly heavily, but I just want to highlight the difference it can make. So the first photo, it's very dull. You can see some nice blues in the sky, some okay looking pinks, but you can't really see the fence or anything. Then I apply some simple edits. I applied a little bit of saturation. I lifted the shadows so you could see what was on the fence, and I cropped the image to make it horizontal. And then all of a sudden, you've got a really nice photo that you wouldn't share the first photo that I'm showing you here without the edits. The second photo has been edited, and you would share that with anyone. You'd be happy to show that photo. I use Lightroom because I can install it on my phone and on my desktop, and they sync together, and I can edit my photos. But that costs money. There's plenty of free ones out there. And a really good editing app for photos is Snapseed. You can do a lot of editing within this application, and the end result is really good. You can also add text and all sorts of things. I mean, you can just make a lot of changes, and it's completely free. It's made by Google. It's a Google app. I think you'll get a lot out of it. So definitely edit your photos. A lot of people will never buy a good camera these days. They will just stick with their smartphone camera, and rightly so. They'll get some great pics. Smartphones are amazing. They do a lot of things. They do more than just take photos. I love my photography. I will never stop using my proper mirrorless camera. However, I've always got a phone in my pocket, and the best camera is the one you've got, the smartphone. So a quick summary of my top 5 smartphone photography tips. 1, zoom with your feet. 2, tap to focus or focus on your subject. 3, change your levels. Make sure you get a better level, not just your shoulder heights. 4, use your rule of thirds. Turn on your grid lines in your camera settings. And 5, edit your photos. Now, these photos were taken with the Reno 5G. If you are happy with these photos, there'll be links down below to the phone. Thank you to Oppo for sending me out the Reno 5G. Full review on it can be found here or here. Can't remember which side. Check them out. Support the channel by watching those videos. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you appreciate it. Hit the like button if you did. Share the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon. All that shit. And I'll catch you in the next video. Check ya.